I'm sure most of you enjoy a hot cup of coffee early in the morning, or even an energy drink during the day to help keep you going. But is it possible to have too much of a good thing? Well, make sure you keep watching the video, because today we're going to find out if it's possible to have too much caffeine. Hey, what's going on everyone? It's Aaron from AMFIT Coaching, and today we're looking at how much caffeine is too much caffeine. And for those of you that are new here, my name is Aaron and I'm an online coach. I help people get strong and lose weight. As well, right now I'm averaging about 1 video per week, but I have a little more free time coming up, so I'm planning on committing to at least 2 videos a week. So if you want to keep getting fitness updates like this, then make sure to hit the subscribe button down below to keep getting updates. Also, before I get into how much caffeine is actually too much, make sure you give the video a thumbs up if you like this kind of video, so that way it gets boosted in the search results, so that way more people can see how much caffeine is potentially too much for them. So how much caffeine is too much? Well, it's going to depend on your current health, different risk factors, and your overall genetic makeup. So caffeine does have a few short-term effects. One of them notably is that it can raise your blood pressure. So if you're someone at risk of having high blood pressure, or you already do have high blood pressure, then the numbers I say later are going to be a little different for you. Because ultimately, if you have a short or sudden increase in blood pressure, it could be a lot more negative for you compared to just an average, regular, healthy person. It's also dependent on how your body actually reacts to caffeine. There are people who genetically metabolize caffeine a lot better than the average person. It's almost like with alcohol. We all know that one friend that can just drink and drink and drink, and they never get drunk. There's a similar thing with caffeine, where the effects of the number of coffees you have may not affect everybody equally. Also, if you have caffeine either more frequently or less frequently, the effects that you receive from it are going to be a little different. But in terms of like toxicity to your body, those are fairly consistent, and let's take a look at those numbers. So in healthy adults, the upper limit that's considered safe and won't cause any adverse side effects is roughly 400 milligrams. And that comes out to around 6 milligrams per kilo of body weight. So for example, if you're 150 pounds or about 68 kilos, that means you can have safely, with no adverse side effects, around 408 milligrams of caffeine. So what is considered toxic? So if you're consuming around 10 milligrams per kilogram of body weight, which means you're having 10 milligrams of caffeine per kilo of body weight, then you're most likely leading to some toxic levels, which could cause some health effects. So that's around 10 milligrams per kilo. So if we were the 68 kilos as before, that would be roughly 680 milligrams. So if you were 150 pounds, you could have around 400 milligrams safely, and probably up to 600 milligrams, but at that point, you could potentially cause some adverse health effects to yourself. So let's put some context to those numbers. So 400 milligrams of caffeine is going to be roughly, depending on the coffee brand you use, it could be about 3 coffees, 3.5 coffees, maybe even up to 4, depending on the type you use. So for example, a Starbucks coffee typically has a lot more caffeine than the average coffee, especially compared to like a McDonald's coffee or a Keurig coffee, which is what I have in this mug. Also, if you're to have an energy drink, such as one of these, this one has about 180 milligrams of caffeine. So you could easily have 2 of these in one day if you're around 150 pounds without any potentially adverse health effects. So if you have 2 energy drinks a day, you should be okay. If you have around 3 coffees a day, you should be okay. As soon as you start going above that number consistently and daily, that's when you could potentially start seeing some negative health effects. So can you have too much caffeine? Yes. Yes, you certainly can. Now, it's still largely dependent on your overall makeup. So even though we have a number of 6 milligrams of caffeine per kilogram of body weight, which gives you a good amount of what you could aim for to make sure you're not putting yourself at risk of any weird health effects, such as increased blood pressure or some anxiety issues or more sweating. But it's largely going to be influenced by how caffeine affects you and how you metabolize caffeine. So as you have caffeine more often and more on a regular schedule, the effects you experience actually tend to decrease. So eventually this coffee will only help you avoid falling asleep, and it may not give you some of the other effects. So consuming it more often will increase your tolerance, which may make you think that you need more and more, which could lead you to potentially causing some harm down the road. So that's definitely one thing to watch out for. Or if you're someone who metabolizes caffeine faster than the average person, then the number you could have without actually harming yourself is probably a lot higher. But I would say if you can stick in with the ballpark of 6 milligrams per kilo of body weight, then you should be safe, you should be okay. That's basically 2.5 energy drinks, which throughout the day, that's a good amount of caffeine, or about 3 to 4 coffees, depending on the brand that you have. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. It's a little bit of a different style, different topics. If you enjoyed it, let me know in the comments if you want to see more of these kind of instructional overview kind of videos. I have a lot of them planned. Also, make sure you give it a thumbs up. So if you learned something today, let me know down in the comments. If there's anything additional that you would want to see, let me know in the comments as well, and I will get back to you. So appreciate you, all of you, for watching this video. And as always, I'll see you guys next time.